Hey everyone, this is Helena, and I'm here with Jonathon Aslay again today. Welcome, Jonathan.
Hey, Helena, how's it going?
Fantastic. We are so excited. We had such an amazing time recording our last live stream a couple weeks ago that we decided to bring Jonathan back on because everyone loved him and his message and what he had to say. And today we're going to be talking about something I've actually never covered on my channel before. So I'm really excited. We're going to be sharing 5 hidden male insecurities that most men feel but rarely ever talk about. And these insecurities can actually cause men to shut down and pull away. And this is a really, really important topic. It's actually the number one topic you guys wanted to learn about. We did a poll a few days ago, and this was by far the first choice. So we're excited to dive in. While we're waiting for a couple people to join, we'll just talk a little bit, just for a couple minutes. For those of you who aren't familiar with Jonathan, he is known as America's leading midlife dating and relationship expert, right? But he actually works with women of all ages to really help them attract the right person and just create an extraordinary love life. And Jonathan, I hope I explained all of that correctly.
Oh, you did it perfect. And
Awesome.
yeah. Yeah, well, I want
Great.
to say something. It's interesting because I've specialized in midlife, what I call after baby making years and before retirement. So a lot of my clients are between 40 and 60, 69 years old. But what's happened lately is so many 20s and 30-year-old women are seeking my advice because I'm kind of like your big brother. I'm like your uncle that's looking out for you and giving you wisdom from the male perspective. And I'd say it's so many 30-year-old women are just loving the content I'm providing. So I don't know if I should rebrand myself. I'm kind of like, but I will say that the reason why I'm specialized in that because a big percentage of the population over 40 is divorced, and divorced population comes in a lot of nuances that isn't really explained in the 20 and 30-year-old category.
Yeah, I know I get questions all the time from women saying like, "Well, this is great advice, but what about if a man's been married a few times and has kids and things can kind of get complicated?" So I know you're the total expert at this. And hello to everyone in the chat. I'm seeing your questions pop up. We're just getting started right now. And just while we're waiting for a few more people to join, Jonathan has so generously offered to do a trial of his VIP group where he answers your personal questions every single day. So if you use the promo code Helena, it's everything, the link's in the description. I believe it's the first link, right? Anything you want to say about this VIP group that you have, Jonathan?
Well, first off, I'm just honored to be able to offer this to your community. I've created an amazing group of, heart-centered women, and we now have men joining the group, where I host a live Q&A call once a month, so you can get on the phone. I have a topic-driven call, and you can ask questions of me directly. And it's also on a webinar and that sort of thing. And then I have a library of content in there that can answer almost any question you have. But what's also cool, if for those of you who are on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, I have a private group. Nobody can get in unless you're in the membership. And in the group, if you post a question, I shoot 3 videos a week based on the questions asked. So if you asked a question, I will shoot a personalized video. It's called a morning cup of Jonathan. And every or 3 times a week, I have my coffee mug out and I answer your questions. And it's personalized. And the best part of it, it's so nominal. It's like it makes sense. It doesn't make sense. It makes sense to join.
Love it. Yes, you can join for just $1 when you use the promo code my name Helena. That's the first link. The second link is if you are looking for actual private one-on-one coaching. Jonathan's offered to do some free personal discovery calls for women in my community. So hi to everyone watching. Oh my gosh, we have almost 100 people watching in the first 4 minutes. So I think this is a good time to jump
How do I
in.
turn on the chat so I can see the chats?
If you see, do you see something that says comments on the right side?
Yeah, I see private chat. Oh, live comments.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Now I can see everything. By the way, I'm too embarrassed to wear my glasses. So
I love the glasses. I think the glasses are great, but I've always loved glasses on men. What do you guys think? Let us know. Should we keep the glasses on or, or take them on
happens to
enough?
be one of the male insecurities we're going to talk about.
Really? Wow. Okay, well, let's jump in. I usually like to wait until there's about 100 people watching so people don't keep asking, what was the first one? What was the second one? So looks like we're right on schedule. What is that first hidden male insecurity that most men feel but don't talk about?
Okay, we're going to dive right in to like a big one. I mean, this is a big one. And I have to pause for a second because if I really check in here, um, believe it or not, we all know how men are driven by sex. Okay, what's the first thing a man thinks about when he's on a date? It's sex, right? But the reality is many men fear not being good in bed.
Mm,
And because, on some level, being a great sexual partner isn't something that you're taught. I mean, for most men, believe it or not, their first experience with sex is through pornography. So a lot of our tutorial on sex is what we've seen in videos. Well, my day, yeah, you'd have to go see pornography in a movie theater.
oh my God.
Yeah, that's how, well, not that old, but but through videos. So a lot of men have a fear around not being good in bed, not being able to perform, not being able to please their partner. And this triggers the deeper wound. And I should have started this conversation. I'm going to come back to the not good in bed in a second, but the deeper conversation is both men and women alike have a core wound. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not likable.
Mhm,
It's inside
mhm,
of us. We have this desire to want to be liked. We want to have a desire to want to be loved. We want to be, you know, um, liked, loved, and feel good enough about ourselves. And while a lot of times we see the surface of people show up, I like how um, Chris Rock calls it, we show up as the ambassador of our
yeah,
best selves,
yeah, like
right?
a
And
representative or something, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
representative, ambassador, or representative of our best selves. But the reality is what I'm talking about, the subcontext inside. So I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not likable is the core wound. And what happens with that wound is the fear of rejection, the fear of rejection. And this is for both men and women alike. So that first core male insecurity, that fear that we have, starts off in the bedroom. And by the way, this isn't in any order. I just happened to choose that one first for this
Mhm,
conversation.
mhm,
And what I think is important for every woman to know hearing this, because I know many women feel the same way. Am I going to
mhm.
be able to please my partner? And if we just really check in with ourselves and just remember that there's another human being here, and we all have fears and insecurities. And just understanding that not every man is going to be James Bond. James Bond is that guy that's confident, knows what he wants. He's able to protect and do everything. And he's the most amazing lover, right? Everyone goes, "Oh, James," right? Not every man is that way. In fact, most men do their best, but that is a fear that we men have.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I can see how that would cause them to want to shut down and pull away, maybe not even try initiating sex in like a long-term relationship or marriage. I hear about that all the time, right? Like they just
Yeah.
feel like they're not going to be able to get the job done or please their partner or perform, right? And so they just kind of back off. And then that's where we hear about just the sex life kind of just diminishing over time, right?
Well, the other thing is, it's also the counterpoint to those men who are only focused on their own
Mm,
pleasure. In other words, we
mm,
know a lot of men that all they care about is their own pleasure, that they actually don't care about their partner's pleasure. But the reality is that's really a reflection of their own insecurity going
mm.
on. A lot of people think it's selfishness, but the real core wound going on inside that causes that myopic or selfish behavior is I'm just too afraid to even express that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. and
Mhm,
and
mhm.
just hump and pump is what we basically know of. And so few people have actually been educated in the realm of true lovemaking and and real genuine lovemaking. It's one of the reasons why tantric workshops are a great place to get educated. And tantric isn't necessarily about sex per se, but it's all about how to connect with your partner. Because when we learn how to genuinely connect with our partner, we have the potential for a much juicier, delicious relationship.
I think that's phenomenal. I'm loving the comments too. Great questions. Someone was asking, can we talk about insecurities of men who've been cheated on before? We will get to all your questions at the
Yeah.
end. We're just going to try and go through these. Do you have any like quick advice for women who are in this situation where they feel like their man might have this insecurity? I know this is probably most men, right?
Yeah.
Any quick tips or like words of
So
wisdom?
yeah, I'm a big proponent on educating everybody, both men and women, and understanding the mechanics of a healthy relationship, understanding the mechanics of healthy relationship. And that doesn't sound very sexy. It doesn't sound very romantic. But when you understand the mechanics, and what I'm here to suggest or share is for those of you that aren't familiar with Dr. John Gottman's work, Dr. John Gottman is called 8 Dates. 8 Dates. Why I'm bringing this up, and it's going to answer your question, is that there are 8 fundamental principles to a successful relationship. One of those is sex and intimacy. So this book literally outlines how to have a conversation about sex in your relationship. And I highly encourage that if you're in a regular relationship with a man, I mean, you're not just in the beginning stage of the dating, you're actually in a relationship, buy this book and read it together. Buy this book and read it together. Now, here's the thing. A lot of women are going, Jonathon, I can't talk about that guy to a guy. He's going to run away. Ladies, I'm here to say, if you're going to give your vagina to a man, and please forgive my graphics, then you should never be afraid of asking for what you want. Ask for what you want. And I highly encourage you to do a deep dive in studying the mechanics of a relationship, because if you want to be in partnership with someone, then you better understand what partnership looks like. And that book is a great way to get insight into it. So I hope that answered your question.
Yes, fantastic. Yeah, we'll probably, answer questions like that all throughout. And then if you guys have questions that are off topic, especially, we'll get to them at the end. So let's dive into the second hidden insecurity that most men feel but rarely talk about.
So this is kind of a tricky one. And some of these fears are very subconscious. In other words, it's really underneath the conscious. So, in other words, we're not thinking this, but our little kid inside is afraid we're going to be found out as a fraud. We're going to be found out we're a fraud. And that fraud happens to do with our masculinity. In other words, our manlyhood. If you have to think back to caveman days, the way a man proved himself was through his physical prowess, his ability to hunt, and his ability to protect, that sort of thing. It was through our physical prowess, right? We have a deep underlying fear that we are not as strong as we make ourselves out to be, because the days of actually protecting against the dinosaurs and that sort of thing don't exist anymore. So we have this fear. Again, this is a subconscious fear. This is one of the reasons, ladies, why men can seem hot and cold, hot and cold, because we are wrestling with our own inner insecurities, our own inner fears. And it doesn't mean, this has nothing to do with you. This has to do with us, but we're not even aware of it half the time.
Yeah.
On a conscious level. And so we have a fear of being found out, that we are not as strong as you may perceive us to be. See the difference? Not the way we make ourselves out to be, you might perceive us to be.
Interesting. Wow. I've actually never heard anyone talk about that in that way before. So I always get very excited when I hear new things I've never heard before. How would that manifest or play out? I know you said that can be hot and cold. Is that often when you see a man kind of withdrawing emotionally or pulling away a little bit? Like what does this look like in real life? Or what can it look like?
Interesting enough, a lot of these insecurities kind of piggyback on one another. But again, it's one of the reasons why we pull away or we go distant and cold, because our emotional well-being hasn't been solidly, what's the word I'm thinking of? Our sovereignty hasn't fully formed yet. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I wrote my second book called, I'm always going to pitch a book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? And the idea of self-love, it's really stepping into our self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem. And sadly, most men do very little personal development work in the area of emotional personal development. Women tend to do more work in the emotional arena, and men tend to do more work out in the physical world. In other words, they watch Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, all these people about making money. A lot of times men's personal growth is focused on how to make money, which is going to piggyback on our third insecurity. And women tend to focus more on emotional. And this is one of the reasons why we just haven't shored up our strength on the emotional sense. And I want to say something for the ladies. You are a big part of our emotional growth. You are a big part of our emotional growth. And if you're not familiar with the book, I got props. The Five Love Languages, The Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman. This is a great starter course to help a man get more in touch with his emotional side. And if you read this book together, or at least doing the test online, you have a great chance of connecting at an emotional level.
Love it. That was so helpful. And again, if you don't mind my asking, any tips for women who are in this situation? Every time I look over here, I'm looking at the comments, and people can definitely relate to this one for sure. So what would you say to women in this situation where they get the sense that a man has this hidden insecurity? Is there anything they can do or say to,
you know what, there's one thing I really encourage for both, and this is for men and women alike, is compassion. A lot of the dating is based on expectations. Men are the leaders, men are confident, men do this and men do that. And the reality is we're struggling because a lot of times we don't know what to do. So I am a big proponent of just simple compassion. Just recognize that each man is doing the best he can. May not be what you like, but he's doing the best he can for himself. And it doesn't mean he's a bad guy. He just has insecurities and fears. And we all do. Women do too.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. He's doing the best he can. I always tell women just to take that mindset, even if they're online dating or meeting men for the first time. And it can be so easy just to get triggered and turned off and want to shut down. But if you just take the mindset, he's doing the best he can. He's trying to, connect, even if he doesn't go about it in the best way. Even if he's not the best match for you, that's fine. But getting triggered and angry and having all this energy around it usually just keeps you attracting those same kinds of men. So I love what you said there. I think that was phenomenal. You ready to jump into the third hidden insecurity?
Number three. So this piggybacks on the one I just shared, but this is a really big one. In fact, this is so humongous that it's part of one of the big reasons or challenges in most relationships. And this centers around our fear of not being a good or appropriate provider protector. Provider protector. We've heard this, that men are provider protectors, women are nurturers, right? I mean, this is caveman kind of stuff. And yet going back to before, that was based on the physical world. Were you strong enough? Were you the tallest one? Were you the one with the biggest muscles, in the caveman days? Now, provider protector is a whole different ballgame. And ever since the 60s, when there was a shift in, when the shift of women being able to make their own way in the world, and now there's a shift in the economics, because provider protector now isn't so much about physical strength. It's about ability to support a family and that sort of thing. And this creates a lot of anxiety for men, not being able to be a strong provider protector. It's interesting. Here in the United States, 80% of the population makes less than $100,000 a year. And the average person has less than 3 months savings in the bank.
Oh, wow. Oh my God.
And especially now with what's happened in our world because of the shutdown and whatnot, this has caused a lot of emotional, emotional turmoil within a guy. And we have this fear, if we can't, again, dating comes with it so much expectation. We've got to pay, you've got to do this, you got to open car doors, you got to be taking the lead. And a lot of men are struggling just to be able to pay their own bills. And certainly in the divorce category I shared about, you might be spreading yourself thin. So this is an important thing to understand, because it's one of the reasons why a lot of relationships can have turmoil in it, because a man might fear he may not be able to take care of you from the provider protector standpoint.
I think that's so important. So important. I'm totally getting lost in these comments too. It sounds like everyone can relate to this. And any tips you have for women who are with a man? I know I get questions all the time. I don't know about you, Jonathon, but what do I do? My man's going through financial issues. It's causing him to get depressed and shut down and pull away and just not want to deal with being in a relationship.
So there's a couple. I want to look at this from two realms. First, in the beginning stages of dating, and then a seasoned relationship. And certainly, and by the way, just really quickly, any of those that did want to schedule a call with me, if you want to seek coaching and you want to seek help and you have a specific relationship you want to uncover, I definitely am open to hearing, seeing if you qualify for coaching. So I know there's a link below, but if those specific things, I definitely want to do a deeper dive. So let's look at this from two realms: the beginning stages of dating and then the seasoned relationship. So everyone knows that men are supposed to pay for dates and lead the dating process, right? But if you understand, and certainly if someone's rich, that's never going to be an issue. Someone who's incredibly wealthy. Remember, I said 80% of the population makes less than $100,000 a year, and
Mhm.
less than 2% of the population makes over $250,000 a year. So, guys who have lots of money, that's not a big deal. But for most men, even treating on dates is a big deal. So I share this story often. And by the way, if a guy is raised right, he's always going to treat on the first or second date. That's just the way we were raised. But if you really want to connect with him on this level, I have found something amazing happen. And I shared this in the last video, but I think I told the story where I was on a first date with a woman, and the first round, we went to a bar and we got a round of drinks. And when the second round came up, she says, I've got it. And I go, no, I've got it. And she goes, no, I've got it. And I go, no, I got it. And we got a little pissing match. Now, some people might say, well, she was in her masculine energy. But what was so fascinating to me, she was actually in her feminine energy, because you know what she did? She put her hand on my arm and she said, Jonathon, I really appreciated that you treated the last round. Would you allow me to show my appreciation and treat the next round? And I was floored. I was literally floored in that moment. And in that very moment, I thought, you know what? She could be a partner in my life. Like,
Mm.
this is someone, I mean, literally, this is a first date. And I thought, you know what? She demonstrated partnership skills. And why I say this is so important, because I did a study in my men's group of over 15,000 men, and I told them this story. And almost every guy, 500 men wrote, she's one of a kind. She's a keeper. Don't let her run away. She's a unicorn. Why this is so important? Because she treated the process of the economics of the relationship as a partner, which is feminine, not necessarily masculine. It's showing that she wants to be a part of this relationship. So that's for the dating piece. I mean, I don't know
Mhm,
how that
mhm.
resonates with you,
I was just gonna
but
say, come to think of it, I've never even thought this before. On the very first date with my guy, which is our first time meeting because we met
yeah.
online. Yeah, we went to a nice place for dinner, and then we went to a second place, got a drink after dinner, and I just paid for the second one. And that's, I don't know, it just felt natural to me. I was like, oh, I got this, don't worry, because like the dinner was a pretty pretty nice place. And
Yeah.
that wouldn't, yeah, I didn't think about it. And I remember, I think he felt, I don't know, he might have felt a little uncomfortable with that, or like, oh my gosh, are you sure? But yeah, and then he's gotten everything else since, and it's just and he's a very kind of masculine, that type of guy. But yeah, it just felt good to me to do that. I wasn't doing that to try to like prove anything or show. It just kind of felt good, just kind of like showing my appreciation. So
So
I love
that's it. That's the point. And
that.
he
Mm-hmm.
was able to receive in that moment. That's the other piece. By
Mm-hmm.
when she put her hand on my arm, would you allow me to demonstrate my appreciation? Can you receive this? So I'm just saying that this is part of economics. Now, in a seasoned relationship, when a man is going through financial struggles and whatnot in life,
Mm-hmm.
here's the challenge with this. As this is part of the dynamics in relationship, economics is part of a relationship, whether we like it or not. And so, first is having a space of understanding and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Again, now, not certainly, I mean, the thing is, some women put pressure on the relationship based on economics, and that usually will push a guy away. But just understand that we might be going through an economic shift. The real challenge here is to decide if you want to stay with, is someone doing a deep dive into a crash, and you want to be a part of that crash? That I'm not a big proponent of, because what you're looking for is a man who's also going to get himself out of any financial rut. Is he working towards improving his economic status, or is he stuck in a rut and is he not going anywhere? Because I don't think you want to invest in a man who's stuck in a rut, not going anywhere, and going in a spiral
Mm-hmm.
downward.
Totally agree. I love everything you had to say, and these comments are so interesting. I can't wait to
Yeah,
get
I gotta
everyone's
read them.
opinion on this. Let's jump into, and we'll get to all your questions at the end too, you guys. Let's
Okay.
jump into, this would be the fourth hidden insecurity most men feel, right?
So this is around body image. And believe it or not, men have insecurities around body image. I mean, let's face it, gymnasiums are filled with people trying to get into shape, and men fear, especially the older we get, certainly younger men who are lean and don't think about, aren't necessarily thinking about body image. But by the time you hit 30, there's Hair loss is huge. Hair loss is huge. And remember I said before, we fear rejection.
Mhm.
Just like women fear rejection on
Yeah.
body image, men have the same fear around body image. Now, we tend to psychologically, you could take an overweight guy and he thinks he's Arnold Schwarzenegger, I mean, like a buff guy, and a woman might be thin and she thinks she's obese. I mean, that's kind of the way we manifest it on our inside. But the reality is body image, fear about being rejected for our body is consistent between men and women alike.
Wow.
And again, there isn't really any tips. There's not about so much you can say this to make them feel better. It's mostly just recognizing that this is what our fears are, and to hold the space of compassion, hold the space of understanding. Because here's what's sadly missing in the dating process so much, Helena, is compassion,
Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah.
Because the more compassion by the way, not at the expense of being a doormat. Let me
Of
be
course.
clear
Of
about
course.
that.
Yeah. Glad you
A
said that.
lot of people think compassion equals doormat. No, compassion with boundaries. But compassion just says, I understand that's how you're feeling. And not, I wouldn't overly talk about it. If he's sharing his insecurity and vulnerability, that's one thing. But I wouldn't go prying and getting it out of him either.
Yeah. Yeah, love that. It's so good to hear that from a man's perspective, especially because I think as women, there's a tendency to think that we're just the ones with all the insecurities and the societal pressure to look a certain way, and right. So I'm happy that you mentioned that. Anything
Well,
else you want to say on that
and by
one?
the way, going back to the reason why a man pulls away, oftentimes women are told to lean back when he pulls away, and it's actually what we're seeking from women is leaning in, and just letting us know that you're there for us, letting us know that you actually want to be a partner in this relationship. Because sometimes when we pull away, again, if we're pulling away because of you, then you should be leaning back. Okay, if
Exactly. I was
your
just going to say that.
energy
Yes. Yeah.
is overwhelming us, then you have to lean back. But if we've leaned back, now I'm not saying chase a man either, but just come to the 50-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we're actually, when we're in insecurity, what we want most is love and understanding from our partner. That's what I said. If our core wound is I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not likable, when we run away, it's because we really, in some ways, are wanting you to just say, hey, I'm here for you. I'm part of this teamwork. We're going to get through this together. So leaning back only makes us push the other way further,
If
in
they're
many
coming from
cases.
a place, yeah, I try to think of, like, let's say I was shutting down and pulling away because I was feeling insecure. Yeah, I would want
Your
my
partner to
partner
lean
to come
in.
forward. How do you know if he's pulling away? I don't know if you have a good answer for this that's kind of generalized for everybody, but how would you know if he's pulling away due to an insecurity versus he's just pulling away because he's one of these hot and cold men that can't handle, closeness and intimacy?
So this kind of leans into emotional maturity. And we covered this in the last video, and I could spend almost an hour discussing emotional maturity. But I want to say that I'm going to do a quick test of emotional maturity. Okay, really
Mm-hmm.
fast. There's 5 steps to emotional maturity. Step number 1, his actions match his words.
Yes.
Actions match his words. Number 2, he takes personal responsibility for the choices he made in his life. He has victor consciousness and not victim
Mm.
consciousness. People who are complainers or victim consciousness aren't very emotionally mature. Number 3, they know how to fight fair. They have good conflict resolution skills. In other words, they're not focused on being right, and they have the capacity to listen and appreciate your point of view as well as sharing your own. And by the way, everything I'm sharing has to be equal from the woman too. Okay, so number 4, empathy. And empathy isn't so much about you can feel my feelings. Empathy is you care about my feelings. You actually care about my feelings. And number 5 is transparency. In other words, so men who demonstrate emotional maturity, when they go cold, they're actually ones who are seeking connection from their partner. They're
Wow,
just
so
not able to express it.
good. Mm-hmm.
Men who don't demonstrate emotional maturity, they don't make good partners anyway.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's not about just like being super understanding and what to a guy who's just doing this all on his own because he's not emotionally mature. Thank you so much for making that distinction. I think maybe that's a topic for a whole nother video is how to
Oh
know,
God, I
right?
could shoot video after video after video on that one.
Yeah. Okay. What about this one? I know we'll take questions at the end, but this one's really relevant to what you just said. It's
Okay.
difficult to know when to lean in or when to lean back when he's having distance because he keeps saying he doesn't know what he wants. So what would you say
Okay.
if a man doesn't know what he wants? Where does that fit into this equation?
Next.
I agree. I'm so glad you said that. Yes, that's
So
what.
here's
Yeah.
the thing. An emotionally mature man knows what he wants and he invests in what he wants. Okay. He knows what he wants and he invests what he wants. Now we have to differentiate those initial stages of investment because the hard part is if a man leads with sex, that's what he wants. If he's
Hmm.
leading with sex in the relationship versus leading with, I have an understanding of the mechanics of a healthy relationship, such as the book 8 Dates that I talk about. In other words, they're seeking a healthy partnership with another human being. And sadly, both men and women aren't really, really well trained on what a good partnership looks like. That's why you hire coaches like myself and others, because my whole coach practice is set up on human behavior and understanding the mechanics of partnership. Because when you get that, you're going to be able to recognize the men who are pulling away because of immaturity versus the one who are pulling away because they just want their partner to come towards them.
Love it. Yes, I love what you said there too. Yeah, if a man doesn't know what he wants, every second you spend waiting around and analyzing him, and it's like you're just mentally leaning forward. Nadia says he will tell you what he wants. Believe him. Yeah, absolutely. If he doesn't know what he wants, that's kind of your answer right there. Maybe he'll figure it out, eventually. But you don't want to just be waiting in the wings forever while he decides what he wants to do with you, right? Just no way
Yeah,
ever.
and I'm a big proponent. Everyone, I want you to know something. I'm very Puritan here. Dating is for the purpose of being in a relationship, and being in a relationship is for the purpose of discovering if you want to be in partnership with
Mm-hmm.
someone. Okay,
Love it.
dating
Yeah.
is to discover if you want to be in a relationship. Relationship is for partnership. I'm very anal about this. If you're not seeking partnership, you're just in it for the casualness. You're going to be suffering the consequences of the emotional consequences when you choose casual relationships
Mm-hmm.
versus relationships with purpose.
Yeah, I love that you said that. Yeah, I think if you're giving up your time to be here, I think most women on this live stream and on my channel in general are looking for that true partnership. So I'm so glad you
Yeah.
said that. Okay, before we jump into number 5, let's talk real quick for the 250 people joining live. Your very generous offer that we just just found out about right before we started to join your VIP group where you answer personal questions for $1 using the promo code Helena. Links in the description right now. It's the first link.
Yeah, check out the link. So really quickly, so a lot of people who are interested in coaching, I certainly have a link here if you want to hire a coach to help you in your life, and I'm certainly capable of that, but I know a lot of people don't have the resources for coaching. So what I have is a fantastic group of women. It's a community of women where literally $1 to join for the first 2 weeks, and then the best part, it's less than $20 a month if you want to stay in the group. So
Oh, love
that's number
it.
one.
Love it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, this is like, and I mean, we got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women in the group. So what the group includes is a library of content I've created. It also includes a once a month like a webinar teleclass where you can get on the phone with me and ask me questions directly. We do it once a month and it's topic driven. Like it might be about male insecurities, the next one, or something else. And then
Yeah.
we do it's a live Q&A where you get to talk to me directly. And then for those who are on Facebook, if you have a Facebook page and you're active on Facebook, we have a secret community. Nobody can join unless you're part of the membership, where we've got a lot of interaction with each other. I'm in the group every day answering questions.
Wow.
And each week I shoot 3 personalized videos for people who ask questions. So if someone says, my guy is doing this and I want some help, I shoot a personalized video. It's called A Morning Cup of Jonathon. It's a Facebook Live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday where I answer your questions with a cup of coffee in hand. And I got to tell you, women love this group. We have so much interaction, and I'm offering it to your community using the coupon code for $1 for the first 2 weeks.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Wow. And then for less than $20 a month, if they decide to join, that's amazing. So, So that's the first link in the description. The second link is if you want to get a free personal discovery call with Jonathon, if you're looking to hire a coach and want to see if the two of you are the right fit. All right, let's jump into the fifth hidden insecurity that most men feel but rarely talk about. This one's so important. I love this one.
Yeah, this is called centered around not being able to make my partner happy. And this kind of piggybacks from our mother issues, unable to please our mother in our life. And on some level, while a relationship isn't about being with your mother, we have a core wound of not pleasing our parental, custodians in our lives. So on some level, we have a fear of not being able to please our partner. And we also fear the wrath if we don't please our partner. You've heard the phrase, hell hath no fury, right?
Yes,
well, we have a fear
yes.
centered around not being able to please you. So what often happens is men do the least amount because we're afraid, what if we do it wrong? What if we do it wrong?
Yeah.
And this is a really touchy, one, because it's hard, because for some men, this is a deep core wound. So first off, to be able to recognize this, one of the things I'm a huge proponent, if you're actively dating, is find out about a man's past relationships. Because remember, I said emotional maturity comes with transparency. Okay, transparency is being able to say, you know what, I've had these past relationships. I take ownership in what went wrong on my part. My partner had this, but depending on how negative or positive he speaks about a past relationship, you can get insight into, did he feel like he wasn't a good partner? And he might have a fear of not being able to please the next partner.
Oh, so interesting. Yeah.
So you're going to ask me the next question, what tips are you going to give, right?
Yeah, I was scrolling up because I know we had gotten a comment earlier from Lisa Love. What about the mama drama guys have? Can you explain this? And that's exactly what you're talking about, right? That fear.
Exactly.
Do you want to talk a little more about that too?
Well, for each man, it's uniquely different because every person has had their own unique experiences with their mothers. Some have had domineering mothers, some have had neglected mothers, some have had mothers who are antagonistic to their children, some were very weak to their fathers, some were very domineering to their fathers. So there's all different types of wounds. What's most important to understand is that men have a fear of not being, when I say men, a lot of men, not all men, have a fear of not being able to please their partner. This is why I'm a big proponent that if you begin a relationship with a man, in other words, you're past the first couple dates, you're having regular intimacy, you've decided you're going to explore a relationship, I'm a big proponent of doing something what I call co-creating a relationship. And what that means is investing in the relationship like it's a separate entity. This is why I'm recommending all these books, 5 Love Languages, Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. So you can actually, and I'm recommending you get the man involved in these too, because if you're going to be spending time together, then why not learn the mechanics of a healthy relationship? Encourage a practice of doing some personal growth work, self-help work, and spiritual work as part of the dating process. Now, a lot of people will say that's too masculine, that's too forthright, it's going to scare a guy away. Here's the deal, ladies. If he really likes you and wants you in his life, he will invest in these things. Emotionally mature men will actually invest in these things if they really want you in their life. And why I'm suggesting these, because I can't give you a small little tip that's going to work. This is a big behemoth, understanding how relationships work. And sadly, the reason why most relationships end, because two people aren't working at it from an emotional perspective. And I'm a big proponent of digging right in, rolling up your sleeves and saying, if we want this relationship to work, then let's do some work together to make it happen. Instead of assuming that chemistry is going to solve all your problems. And I'm going to sing chemistry is just going to solve everything, because it doesn't.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Probably the opposite, right?
Exactly. Chemistry is not the indication. And chemistry isn't love either.
Yeah,
naively, men and women think chemistry is love, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. By the way, Helena, I have a confession. when we shot our last video, one of your audience members wrote to me and said, Jonathan, I love your advice better than anyone else because you're like a father yelling at me.
I love that.
And I read that and I was floored. And so I didn't realize that I yell so much. And what my yelling is passion, but what I realized is like, I feel like, remember back in the day, you've seen movies in the 60s where if a guy wanted to ask a girl out, he had to get permission from the big brother. In other words, and the guy knew if he did anything wrong, the big brother would kick the shit out of the guy, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's how I coach. I'm here to protect you. And I'm here to say, look, stop giving men a pass. You are in charge of your relationship destiny. You take charge of it because men are naive to this. And here's the good news is men are trainable. We can be trained. All you have to do is give us direction. All these fears and insecurities go away when you give us direction, not telling us what to do, but inspiring us through healthy means like the ones I'm suggesting from these books.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. How awesome is Jonathon, you guys? Like, I love everything you said. I love that. I'm so all about not giving a guy a pass, right? So good. I've heard people referring to you as like the protector of women's hearts all around the world. And I think what you said totally speaks to that. So I'm just kind of looking over to see if we have more questions. How about this one? Can you please talk about insecurities of men who've been cheated on before? Do you have any thoughts there? I hear about this all the time. I get questions just like this.
Okay, this is a great one because if a man truly loved his partner only to find out she cheated on him, that can be emotionally devastating. Men who have been cheated on, just like women, interesting enough, women are more resilient than men. Men's capacity to love, when a man loves deeply and he gets hurt, that could take them down the rabbit hole of really shutting down. I know women shut down, but women's hearts are actually more resilient than men. And if a man's been cheated on and he's still wounded by that, I'm going to tell you, ladies, he's not usually a good partner to stick with because if he if he hasn't healed from it, okay, here's the key part of everything I talk about insecurities is if we're not healing ourselves, emotionally healing ourselves, our insecurities are going to bring us down. So, by the way, every insecurity I just shared, I've experienced myself. I've had to heal from them to be able to step into who I am today. And the vast majority of men, 80% of men, are riddled with insecurities on some way, shape, or form in one of these five, if not five or more.
Yeah.
So just recognize if they're not healing or if healed, they don't usually make good partners.
I love what you said. Oh my gosh, love what you said. I'm just kind of looking over the questions here. Valentina says exactly. Now I know why he was so hot and cold. Yes, you are unique. In the end, he was a cheater. Insecure men are often cheaters. No, do you believe that men who cheat are often insecure?
A person who's insecure can cheat, especially if they have a high libido. That's certainly the case. Not all men have high libidos, but certainly and why they cheat is because sex is that one place where we get to avoid all our problems. But here's the thing, believe it or not, most men don't cheat in relationship. It's not the significant percentage, and we need to have access to women. Okay, so in other words, unless you have access, and mind you, with our smartphones, we have a lot more access. But here's the thing. Most men who are in a happy, delicious, juicy relationship don't cheat. I mean, we don't cheat if we're a happy, juicy, delicious, loving relationship. If we're riddled with insecurities, and the guy's riddled with insecurities, they might go seek connection elsewhere because it goes back to being found out I'm a fraud, not making my partner, or not being able to make my partner happy, that sort of thing. Sometimes it's an avoidance mechanism to cheat.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for explaining that. Okay. AG says she knows her man is insecure. He's always asking me what I think about something he does, as much as he might want my opinion. I don't want him to do that. What should I do? You're talking about men being trainable. Will this kind of fit into that category?
Well, yeah, this reminds me of women do the same thing. Do I look good? Do I look good in this dress? Yeah. Right. Going back to the body image. Yeah. The reality is compassion is the antidote to this. Well, compassion, but okay, here is a tip I'm going to give. Attention, affection, and appreciation.
Okay, love
Attention,
it.
affection, and appreciation. That's the daily multivitamin to make a man or woman. And by the way, in relationship, you should be both doing this: attention, affection, and appreciation. I'm a big proponent of every morning telling your partner what you appreciate about them, what you giving them attention and affection, right? And
Mhm.
doing the same thing every evening, because when we're in a state of gratitude for our partner, we're less likely to cheat, we're less likely to stray. When we feel appreciated by a partner, it has to be mutual. This is why, ladies, I'm going to scream right now. Take charge of your relationship destiny. Read these books I'm recommending, because when you understand how a healthy relationship works, you can introduce these principles and concept to a man. And if he really genuinely cares about you, he's going to want to do that. If he doesn't, don't worry about scaring him away, because remember this one tip. If you're speaking sincere and from your heart, you can never say the wrong thing to the right guy.
I totally agree. I totally agree. You can never say the wrong thing to the right person. Absolutely. There's this great quote. I think it's a Rumi quote. Like if
Yeah.
words come from the heart, they will enter the heart. Something like that. I'm
Oh,
all
I
about.
love that one. I got to get
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, I think I have like a photo of it or something. I love what you said. Amazing. Okay, I'm just scrolling through looking for questions. So we don't, I
I saw
love.
there was a $5 question.
Oh, yes, we will get to, let me see. We'll get to the super chat too after this one. What
Okay.
about this one from Paulina? How do you know a man has healed or is healing? Great question.
Okay. So I don't believe we ever heal all of our wounds. Like our
Mm,
core wound, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not likable. I don't know if we ever heal it until the day we pass. Okay, but healing is a process. How do you know it? Personal development work, self-help work, spiritual work, going to see a therapist, meditation. People who are investing in their introspective lives are the ones who are healing. By the way, they say time heals all wounds. No, time avoids all wounds.
oh,
Okay.
interesting.
That
Yeah.
wound is there. Healing is an active process of doing something, going to a therapist, going to a coach, seeking a life coach, seeking help from people like yourself and, myself and others. That's what healing looks like, because time doesn't heal it. All it does is avoid it.
Love that. Very similar question right below from Anne. How can I tell if a man is healed? I think you just answered that. When can I ask a man I'm seeing? Is this something you recommend bringing up?
Heck yes,
I knew
ladies.
you were going to say
You're
that.
vetting guys. If you want him, if you're going to allow him into your vagina, then you have absolutely every right to vet him. Vetting, VETTING. Okay. You can ask him whatever you want. And if you're afraid of scaring him off, he ain't your guy. Okay. So,
Mhm.
yeah, ask him, hey, okay. So, here's a great example. I have to breathe. I get too excited. Okay. So a man tells you about his past relationship,
Yeah.
and you find out his wife cheated on him. Your question is, how did you heal from that? How did you
Love
heal
it.
from that? What did you learn? What did you learn from that experience? And how did you heal? And by the way, if they look like deer in the headlights, that means they haven't done shit.
Totally agree. I love that. It's so simple. Just how did you heal from that?
Yeah.
Very, I love just the simple, straightforward. What do you guys think about that for the 300 people watching live? Okay, I see this. Thank you so much, Sensual Brunette, for the $5. Let's go with this question. I was wondering what to do if a guy calls you babe after a few dates. Are you comfortable with that? I think some people that might trigger some people. Some people might be totally comfortable and do the same thing. The question for you is, if you're asking this question, I bet you are probably fall into the category of not liking that. And maybe, am I right about that, Sensual
Yeah, well, I
Brunette?
mean, here's the thing. I mean, well, let me read that. Are you comfortable? Well, am I comfortable with that? Absolutely. If a woman calls me babe, I'm totally good with that.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I'm kind of the I'm a baby boom Gen Xer. Okay, so for me, terms of endearment was the way I was raised by my family. Sweetheart, babe, that sort of not from my parents, but that generationally we used to call those terms of endearment, right?
Mm.
Babe, sweetheart. I mean, I've done that very quickly with someone I barely know. if that is something that's uncomfortable for you, if it's genuinely uncomfortable, then here's the thing. And again, please read the book Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. Hey, Tom, I just want to say that I really appreciate your enthusiasm within our relationship. And I just want to share with you, I feel a little uncomfortable with the use of babe early on. And I just wanted to share that with you because I want to form a delicious, juicy relationship with you. And I just want you to know I'd feel better that we save that for when we're in a fully committed relationship. Now,
Amazing. Oh, I
now,
love
I
how you
went a little overboard on that, with a little bit of, like a juicy delicious. I just happen to like those words, but you simply express how you're feeling, coming from the place of, I'm feeling uncomfortable, not you make me feel uncomfortable when you say that. That is confrontational,
Mhm,
hence
mhm.
nonviolent. That's very violent. When you say, I feel uncomfortable when you say that, then and I would really appreciate that for now we just use our names with one another. Now, that
So
might
good.
seem like a turnoff to the wrong guy,
Mhm,
not to the
mhm.
right guy.
She said, okay, thank you so much. I'm glad that was helpful. I'm glad that was
Yeah.
helpful. That was a really, really good, clear, direct script. I think that was amazing, John. I think we should bring you back on and go, like, bring all your things like that, and Jonathan will tell you what to say to a guy. I think that'd be so powerful, don't you think? Okay, let me see. I was so wrapped up in that one. I gotta scroll back up. Do you want to recap these 5 hidden insecurities while I scroll through the
Sure.
questions, John?
So while you're scrolling, fear of not being good in bed, fear of being found out as a fraud, that we're not as manly as we seem, our fear around being a provider protector, specifically in the area of economics of a relationship, not so much the physical realm, our fear around our own body image issues, losing our hair, not being able to perform in bed, is going back to the bed part, but our penis size, even, we have a
Mm-hmm.
fear around that,
Mm-hmm.
and then centered around not being able to make our partner happy, our fear around that. And a lot of these fears, lady, are the subconscious layer that's going on because we fear rejection. And what's interesting, Helena, I happen to be in a men's group with a lot of 20 and 30-year-old men, and these are men riddled with insecurities. And their greatest fear is just even centered around not even having the courage to ask a woman out. The
Mm-hmm.
reality is both men and women have deep fears, and it doesn't make us bad people. It makes us something called human.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these goes both ways too. We all have
Exactly.
insecurities, right? Michelle asked, there's a couple related questions here. Do these tips apply in the very early stages of a relationship? I feel like I've done this. Some guys start to take me for granted. Any thoughts there?
So, yeah, that's a great. So, I'm a big proponent that when you meet someone, how you meet someone in the beginning, again, we show up as that ambassador of our best selves.
Mhm.
But in many cases, I believe that you have to recognize that I start from the premise that everybody has fears. I just
Mhm.
understand that the person across from me from the table might have a fear. So, taking for granted is a relationship where the two of you most likely haven't established gratitude. Gratitude is the antidote to everything, appreciation and gratitude. And what you'll find, the common thread for men who stay in the long term relationships is that they are grateful for their partner and their partner is grateful for them.
Mhm.
This
Mhm.
is why I'm going to teach you something. Okay, you like tips. So I'm going to teach a tip. Stop using the word thank you in your vocabulary and
Mm,
start using the words appreciation, gratitude, and grateful.
mm,
Replace the word thank you, with, hey, I really appreciate that. Hey, I'm really grateful you're in my life. I have so much gratitude for you being in my life. Start expressing that and start on some level, not expecting it from your partner, but encouraging your partner on a regular basis to be able to express their gratitude, appreciation, and gratefulness for you.
I think that's
I got a
great.
story to tell you.
I
Okay,
think
I'm
that's
going to
great.
illustrate this with a story.
Yeah.
So I was in a relationship some years back where my girlfriend and I flew up to San Francisco to do we had a speaking gig. The topic was called "We Need to Talk," bringing up the touchy subjects. That was, she and I were the speakers at this big conference. And the night before the conference, we got into a royal fight. I mean, one of those where you could hear it. We were in the hotel room screaming. I mean, you could hear us 10 doors down the hall, kind of screaming at each other. And I mean, she was ready to get on the plane to leave. And by the way, the fight was over something so small. By the way, it related to the provider protector thing within me. I mean, um, I stopped in the middle of the fight and I said, "Do you know what, sweetheart, what I appreciate about you?" And I listed 5 things I appreciate about her. And I said it very slowly, very calmly, and very intentionally. And it took minutes for each one. And by the time I finished, it was 10 minutes later. And I said, I invite you to share what you appreciate about me. And do you know what happened? The ice, the armor just kept coming slowly and slowly down. The more we expressed our gratitude and appreciation for one another. And I got to tell you, I thought of this out of the blue. Like this came out of left field why I did that. By the end, we were able to talk to one another. And the best part of this is that was our opening speech. We started our speech with our we're ready to get on. She's ready to get on a plane to leave, and that's what we used to start our speech, and it ended up being a great presentation for everyone. But the point is gratitude and appreciation. And ladies, I suspect very few of you are actually investing in gratitude, appreciation in your relationship with each other. And I'm here to say, begin a practice of expressing it to one another on a regular basis. Stop these ridiculous chats. What are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? A lot of text messaging is garbage. Start invoking emotions through the words of appreciation and gratitude.
That is amazing. I am going to do that today. I'm going to start. I think
you better tell your boyfriend.
Phenomenal advice. Amazing. I always say men, they gravitate towards what makes them feel appreciated, and they tend to avoid situations where they feel incompetent, right? So if he starts to feel with you that he can never do anything right, everything he does is never enough, he's going to start to withdraw and shut down, right?
Exactly.
Here's a question from Andrea. What I gave him all the attention, affection. He still said he didn't want to love anymore. I gave him all the space he needed and love when he would let me, but it's still not. Yeah, exactly. Get rid of that guy.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Ladies, so one of the things, okay, here's the thing. And we talked about this in the last video. We talked about love attachment, which is the book Attached. Ladies, it's not uncommon. You might be attached to the wrong partner. You might be attached to the wrong partner. Here's the thing. The minute you have intercourse with a man, chemicals in your brain are released, one of which is oxytocin. Oxytocin is a bonding chemical that bonds you to another human being, along with dopamine, which is crack cocaine. So dopamine is the lust drug, and oxytocin is the bonding drug. You might be bonded with the wrong guy.
Yeah.
This is why when I coach my clients, I keep saying, you want to interrogate the guy in the beginning. Now, nobody likes hearing that because there's nothing romantic, sexy, or fun about that. But what I mean by interrogating, and again, I teach a whole different way of vetting a guy that's a very non-confrontational, very loving way to find out if he's really relationship ready. Because that's the secret. How do you find out if he's relationship ready? Now, I jokingly use the words interrogate and interview, but what it is a conversation, and it's learning the right language and verbiage, and that's what I teach in my private coaching program.
Love it. Yes. If you're interested in a free personal discovery call with Jonathon, if you're interested in getting paid coaching from an amazing relationship coach, that link's in the description. Also, go join his VIP program for $1 using the promo code Helena. So generous to offer that. Okay, so this is a similar thing. I give him attention, affection, appreciation. They say nothing they do will make me happy. Is that manipulation or insecurity?
Well, my question is, okay, here's the thing. Ladies, if you're giving attention, affection, appreciation, are they doing the same?
Exactly.
By the way, a relationship should be a two-way street, okay? Not going these directions, okay? If you're giving attention, affection, appreciation, he is also, for you to want to be in relationship with him, he should be giving attention, affection, appreciation. If he's not, and you're doing the heavy lifting, well, then of course, lean back and do less work. Okay. But doing less work isn't going to help the relationship with someone who's emotionally immature, or excuse me, yeah, emotionally immature or weak emotional skills. So again, if you're investing in the relationship at the 50-yard line, if he's not there, you never go get him back, but just recognizing pulling back isn't going to, the only anxious men come and chase when you're pulling back. Only men who are insecure chase when you pull back. I say stand on the 50-yard line. If he's not meeting you, next.
Exactly. Love it. Yes, I love that. Are you okay to take a couple more? I know we said we're going to keep this one short.
I know, but you know us.
There's 337 people still watching, so I know you guys are loving this, and I'm hoping this is helpful. Erica says, I'm so guilty of telling my husband what to do instead of inspiring him to do the inner work with you. How do you do that without feeling or sounding like a mom? Great question. I think that's a great one.
You do it like a queen, and a queen says, you get your shit together or I'm gone.
Wow.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's not a mom. That's a queen.
Love it.
A queen says, look, if you want to be in a relationship with me, and then, by the way, I know you're married and there's a lot of, for this, I'm being a little bit hard on this one because it's a marriage, right? But the ultimate, at the end of the day, people that are not investing in themselves, make very bad partners in life, or oftentimes can make bad partners if they're not healing and investing themselves. Now, someone I saw in the comments, someone said, well, that might come across as very masculine. Ladies, it's incredibly feminine to ask for what you want.
I agree.
It's not masculine or feminine, it's called human. It's called relationship. There's nothing masculine about asking for what you want and encouraging your partner on what makes you happy. It's incredibly feminine. Okay. And interviewing and interrogating is not masculine. It's called getting to know someone. How do you get to know someone? You ask deep, meaningful questions. Because falling in love through the fun stuff, falling in love because you're going out to dinner and getting dressed up and going dancing, blah, 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 and you're falling in lust with another human being. How do you fall in love with someone? Through deep conversations, to doing social activities together, to doing hobbies together, to doing mutual interests together, to spending time with family and friends and asking deep value-based questions. That's how you get to know another human being. And they should do the same for you. If they're not wanting to get to know you, this relationship will fall apart because all you have is chemistry holding it together. I'm sorry, I'm yelling again.
I love it. No, I was just thinking how much I enjoy having you on my channel doing these live streams. It's so, you're just so clear. You're so sure. There's nothing wishy-washy about your answers, which I absolutely love. Here's something related to what you were just talking about, how to have intimacy without being initiative or needy. Early stages of a relationship, we tend to have more intimacy. As days pass, it kind of becomes hanging out with the same person and we know them. I mean, I guess this could apply to physical intimacy and emotional intimacy.
So I happen to know a couple. I know many couples, but I happen to know a couple who's been married 60 years. They're 80 years old. They've been married 60 years and they have sex twice a week, even to this day. Okay. Twice a week. Actually, no, I'm sorry. They said up until a few years ago, it was twice a week, regular sex. The difference was they were intentional about it. They made sex a priority in their relationship. Now, intimacy isn't just sex. Intimacy is emotional. But why I'm bringing this up is they put it on the calendar. They made it intentional to make it last 60 years. Now, it wasn't that way in the beginning, but to make something last 60 years, you're intentional about it. You actually, so Helena, sorry, I got to draw a little thing. Okay.
This is so great.
Okay. I'm
having so much fun on this live stream.
Okay. So I hope you can see, what does that say?
Can you raise it up just a little tiny bit higher? Yeah. There's you, there's me, and then there's a we above.
Okay. The we is a separate entity. You are a sovereign human being. They are a sovereign human being. But a relationship is a separate human being, if you will. Okay. The we is a separate thing. If you want to be with the relationship with a man, ladies, if you want to give your vagina to a man, he's got to agree to want to invest in the we. Okay. If he's not investing in the we, then he's not partnership material. He's just staying in his sovereignty. Okay. The we is a separate entity. This is why these books that I keep pulling up, where's my book? This book is all teaching you to understand the we. If you don't understand the we, how can you even know what you want in a relationship? Helena, I coach so many women, and it so saddens me because one of the things I do in my private coaching is I have every woman describe their ideal relationship. Mm. And they write it all out, what they want. And then they go through my proprietary coaching program and I have them re-describe it. And do you know what every woman says?
What?
I wished I learned this 20 years ago. Why didn't someone tell me this is how a relationship works? Mm-hmm. Ladies, stop being naive. The Cinderella story isn't relationship success. The movie The Notebook isn't relationship success. Understanding how relationship. By the way, the movie Pride and Prejudice is an interesting example because back in olden times, women knew the score. They knew exactly how a relationship worked. Mm. But all of a sudden, after about 1960, it's just turned into like absolute confusion. And these devices have made things worse. Mm-hmm. So study the material I'm talking about because you're going to be better prepared to be in relationship.
I love that. Are you okay to take a couple more questions? Because there's so okay. This is so great. This is so phenomenal. I'm loving this, and there's more and more people watching. So we're glad this is helpful. She says, Jonathon, I always have trouble letting a man know my job and education level. Do you have any tips in the early stages if you think you would intimidate their provider earner insecurities?
Okay, it's real simple. I'm a corporate lawyer. I make $250,000 a year. I graduated from Harvard. If your penis shrinks for whatever reason, there's no need to go on this date any further. I'm being blunt.
Wow. Okay.
Ladies, don't ever worry about emasculating a man. Stop, let go of that belief. Now, most men break up with women who are controlling, condescending, confrontational. Okay. That's the reasons why we break up with women. Okay. It's not a masculinity. It's those reasons. Okay. Now, because those tend to be masculine traits, we consider that emasculating a man, controlling, condescending, confrontational, right? Condemning those types of traits. Here's the thing. Be proud of who you are. Be a queen. Step into your queen energy. If you graduated from Harvard and you're a lawyer making 253, you don't have to give your income per se, but be proud of it. Here's the thing, a man isn't intimidated by that. His real fear goes back to these fears of I'm not good enough, that you will reject me because I make less money, because I have less education. Our fear is that you're going to reject us. You're not emasculating us. We're afraid. So here you simply say, you know what, this is where I'm at. I am so grateful that you went to junior college, and I'm so grateful that you did that. Gratitude. I'm giving it kind of a tongue in cheek here. But you know what? Just say, hey, that's impressive you did that. Be impressed by his accomplishments, just like you want him to be impressed by your accomplishments.
Love that. I personally think it's phenomenal. If you are a high-powered, driven, ambitious woman, I love women like that.
Don't worry about emasculation.
Exactly.
Stop that.
I agree. I totally agree. Nadia says, I have tons of education and a great job. If they're not secure, then too bad. Wrong guy. Valentina says, I think she meant stronger.
But it's not about security. It's that we fear you're going to reject us because we don't have the same thing. That's the real issue, because it's really going, you know what? So you went to Harvard, great. You went to junior college. Wow, that's great. You did that. But you see, you've got to honor what our accomplishments are too.
I think that's great. So important. Valentina says, I prefer stronger humans. I'm 3 weeks into something amazing. A widower using every skill I've learned from Helena's channel. Every wonderful guest. Oh, amazing. Okay, she's showing appreciation. Kim asks, why are men afraid to approach women? I understand the fear of rejection, but you may not get rejected. You could always look at it as you met someone new. Any thoughts there, Jonathon?
You know, going back to that men's group I'm in, I mean, here's the thing. You may not, yes, it takes a level of courage to be able to walk up to a total stranger and say, I'd like to get to know you. Part of the problem with that is when it's a total stranger, it's based on looks. Okay. Because the reality is it's not based on your personality, it's based on looks. It might be now, women who radiate energy, that radiate, like have radiant energy, that's not always looks based, that's energetic based.
Mm,
Okay.
mhm.
But here's the thing. Who wants to be rejected, Kim? I mean, there's nothing fun about that. And we men get rejected time and time and time and time and time again. Women sadly get objectified, but it's interesting on a side note to this. Do you know what's fascinating, Helena? The average woman gets dozens of compliments in any given day. Oh my God, those are beautiful shoes you're wearing. Oh my God, where'd you get that purse? That dress you're wearing is so fantastic. Men get zero compliments in any given day by
Mhm.
anybody. The last time we got complimented might have been our mother. Okay. And why I'm bringing this up is if you want to encourage, man, start complimenting. I'll never forget. I had a first date with a woman, and the first words out of her mouth was, "Oh my God, you're so gorgeous. You're way better looking than your pictures." I was done. I mean, I was going to ask her to marry me right then and there. Now, I'm a Leo, so
Mhm.
okay, kind of feeds into but my point is she led with a compliment. I
Mm.
mean, right there, she had me eating out of the palm of her hand.
I can see totally. I love that. I'm a Leo too, by the way. So
Okay. Oh, no wonder.
Jane says, I've had 6 dates with a guy. We can chat for hours. However, after the dates, he doesn't ring me or video chat, and texts are limited. What would you say to him? I know you have probably a great, concise thing you could say.
Well, first off, I'm going to be judgmental to Jane for a second. I hear the level of expectation. I
Mm.
need you to make me feel good, so I need you to call me so I know you still like me, okay? Ladies, to be in your sovereignty, to be in your queen, you don't need a man to do anything for you to feel good about yourself. Let me repeat that. You don't need him to do anything for you to feel good about yourself. Now, if you'd like to have that text, then send him a text. Hey, I really had a great time with you. I just wanted to say goodnight. I'm really grateful. I appreciate you. You can lead by example. You don't have to. There's this problem with a lot of dating advice. It's all centered around men doing the work. And I'm going to tell you, men choose women who equally invest in the relationship process. Okay. That's the ones we go the distance with. So you can send them that text too. Hey, I just want you to know I appreciate you.
I think that's great. I think that's really great. I just get distracted because we got
I
another
see a
super
super
chat. I
chat.
know. Thank you so much. Oops. Thank you so much. I can't get to it. These keep disappearing. Dasha, here we go. How to overcome insecurity for a woman about her age. Oh, talking about women's insecurities. Thank you for the $5, by the way. So sweet. Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. When she's 39, feels like it's too late for everything. Any tips
Dasha,
for?
I'll ask you out if you have an insecurity, okay? So by the way, I was in a relationship with a woman who was 10 years older than me, and
I
I met her in my
remember.
40s.
Yes.
So ladies, here's the deal about age. If you make it an issue, it is an issue. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I understand the dynamics if you want to have children, that
Mm-hmm.
there is that kind of biological clock ticking. But what matters most, speaking as a parent who has children, what matters most is picking a good partner, not necessarily based on biology. So I only wanted to bring that up in age. Here's
Okay.
the bottom line. You know, Here's what's interesting about age. Men and women both discriminate based on age. Men and women both do it. Men do tend to want younger women, but let me tell you something, Sasha. I think you're 39. There are a gazillion guys who will date you in a heartbeat that
Mm-hmm.
your age, a couple years older, a couple years younger, you're not, and by the way, there's 65-year-old women watching this video right now, and there are men in that age bracket that will date you as well. Don't make age a psychological issue here to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And just because some men want younger women doesn't mean all men do.
I love that. Thank you so much for, and I can relate to that for sure. I think a lot of us, I think that was a phenomenal question. Love to hear from you guys too. I know a lot of women in my community dating guys who are much younger than them too. I mean, that's a big topic
Yeah.
these days, right? So,
Yeah.
we'll just do a couple more because I know we're over on time. Why did guys pull away after we had sex? He chased me 7 years. We only went out 5 times. I didn't want anything with him. Now I want, what I can't have, but this also happened to my friend. I know you have a lot of great stuff to say about
Oh gosh, I'm going to go into this one.
I
Boy,
know.
am I going to go into this. Okay, ladies, this
Yeah.
idea that men love to hunt and chase. Well, what are we hunting and chasing? We're not chasing. I want to be in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship. We're not chasing that. What do we chase? We chase physicality. We chase connection, but it's not the distance. So here's the reason why this happens. And I didn't realize this till it happened to me. I could chase a woman, pursue her, get her in bed, and then all of a sudden, I didn't realize that I didn't like her anymore.
Mm,
And I didn't understand this was happening over and over and over again. And when I studied chemistry, what happens is brain chemicals are being released. That's dopamine, and like dopamine. Dopamine is that inject heroin in you. That's what dopamine does. So we're chasing the fix, but once we have the fix, we recognize in that moment, we're left with, do I really like her for who she is, or was it just the sex? Now, in this particular case, he's known her a long time,
mm,
right? So most likely he was chasing the fantasy that
mm.
he created in his mind of her years ago. But this is why I talk about vetting a partner. And this is what I teach in my private coaching. One of the things I have is a workbook called Improve Your Guy Picking System. I've created a system so you can learn how to vet guys who are emotionally mature and ready for a serious relationship versus those that are chasing and hunting just that immediate connection, but are not capable of going the distance.
Mhm.
So that's the why. I wish there was a better answer for you.
Okay, I knew you would have something great to say about that. What sorts of questions should women ask, or what should we discuss when an ex comes back? I imagine maybe she's maybe trying to get back together, to get back
So
together.
here's the one thing. That's a challenge because nowadays we have human beings that are having multiple relationships in their lives, multiple marriages, multiple relationships. So it depends on where he's at in his life with you and how strongly establishes the relationship and what was the ending of their relationship. Ladies, you have every right to find out as much as you can about someone before you begin an intimate journey. That's why it's called vetting. When someone runs for president and they're looking for a vice president candidate, do you know what they have to go through? An extensive background check, and they vet a person before they get to be the vice president, right? That's how that works. It's the same in relationship. You have every right to vet his emotional maturity. And I know, by the way, I know this goes against conventional wisdom because nobody taught us any of this stuff because we've been blinded by the idea that chemistry equals relationship success.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
genuine, by the way, do you know why arranged marriages tend to work the best overall of any marriages? Because they actually try to pair two people up. They're aligned in
Mm.
shared values, blendable lifestyles, and emotional maturity, and the chemistry usually comes after the fact. I'm here to teach a whole new way of dating. It's called purposeful dating. It's called intentional dating. It's called dating like a grown up. And that's what I'm here to help people so they don't have to be in the process of getting hurt over and over and over again.
Amazing. I love that. Okay, two more questions. Are you okay with
Okay.
that? We have three
Yeah, I'm
minutes,
totally good with
35
that.
people. We have so many people watching live. I just know that this is helpful for everybody. And this, I know you're an expert in. Is a divorced guy more insecure than others? Just wondering your thoughts on that.
So here, it's not that a divorced man is more insecure. A divorced man has more entanglements. Okay, so here's the thing. When someone gets married to another human being, you're actually tying up your finances, you're tying up your emotional well being, and you've invested a significant amount of familiarity with another human being. The problem with divorce is unraveling the tapestry of an old life and then coming back to that me,
Mm,
coming back to our me, like I talked about before. And it takes time to get your sovereignty back. So it's not a level of insecurity. Now, a divorced man might be bitter or jaded, just like a divorced woman might be bitter or jaded, because if you've had a bad experience, oftentimes people carry that in the back of their mind, carry that bad experience, and they carry it forward in every new relationship. And it goes back to the insecurity part is a fair question because we might fear not being good enough the next time. This is the problem with human beings, because we're not dating from a place of compassion. We're dating from a place of egoic ego and fear. And I'm here to say, let's take the fear out of the dating process and start injecting compassion and understanding for one another, and study relationships the way I have, ladies. And if you want a crash course, hire me as a coach, because I'm here to educate you in a short period of time.
Yes, yes. If you want a free discovery call with Jonathon, links in the description. You can also join his VIP group for $1 using the promo code Helena. That link is in there as well, to get your personal questions answered by them. So Sporty Butterfly said that was a helpful response. Happy to hear that. Last question from Amanda. What types of moves can a woman make? We are in a relationship. I think he has some insecurities. I'm also the type to let the man make the moves. If he's insecure, what's the balance?
So I'm not sure if she means moves in the bedroom or just moves in the relationship. So I'm all about expressing what you want and make it an invitation. So, sweetheart, I'd love it if we go out to dinner tomorrow night. And, if you make the arrangements, I'll get dressed up sexy. That's just being a good partner. It's certainly initiating, but it's also inspiring at the same time. When it comes to the bedroom, it's the same thing. But I also want to say something. If it's in the bedroom, 50% of divorces cite sex as the number one reason for divorce, and the other 50% cite, sex, and 50% cite money. So if we know these are the two biggest problems in relationship, then study these conversations. This book teaches you how to have the grown-up conversations around sex and money and conflict resolution and family and friends and all the important elements to a relationship. And then that book, Nonviolent Communication, I talked about, teaches you how to say it in a healthy, compassionate way. Ladies, I'm here to encourage that if you want to be in partnership with men, then both of you should be investing in learning how to be in a good relationship, instead of naively blinding, expecting men to know this. Men are clueless. Men are clueless. Men aren't watching these videos. Men are watching videos how to meet women. You're watching the videos how to make a relationship work. So if you're watching the videos of how to make a relationship work, then you have to take the initiative on it, because we're not going to, because we're clueless.
Love it. Okay, I know I said this is the last one. This is one more came through, because I know you guys are like loving this. I'm in an exclusive with a man who's told me he's insecure about his financial situation. He's scared to be in a relationship. Should I break it off until he's ready, basically?
So I'm going to share something very personal.
Okay.
That significant relationship I talked about, I was in the same boat. I told her that I'm feeling my financial status went from, at one point, I was worth multi-millions of dollars, and I got wiped out in the market crash of 2008. And I said, look, I just want you to know this is where I'm at. I'm also working on building my business, and I'm investing myself, but I just want you to know this. So if you have desires for another man, then go seek a man who's got resources, because I don't. I expressed where I was at, and she was incredibly understanding and didn't put any demands on me per se, but I was able to express it. And she, again, came from a place of understanding. But I was also stepping into my confidence, because I was building a business at the same time. If I'm wallowing in my insecurities, then, and if a man is wallowing in his insecurities, let him go heal and then come back to you. Here's the main difference is, we can have fears around, we can have all these fears, but what are we doing to overcome them for ourselves? That is the more important question to be observing. What are they doing to overcome this within themselves? For example, body shape, body image. I mean, at age 50, I started to go to the gym. I started to eat differently. I lost 25 pounds. I look fucking phenomenal right now at my age, but I made the effort to improve my body. Even though I'm competing with men with six-pack abs, I'm like, you know what? For over 50, I'm not too bad.
I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. And I love that there's 380 people watching for those like maybe some most live viewers I've had in a while. This is phenomenal. We'll go ahead and close out there. I know we wanted to try and make this like a 30-minute video, but we're like over
we were
an
going
hour.
to do 45 minutes and we went an hour and a half.
I know. Amazing. So, but if you guys have more questions for Jonathon, join his VIP group for $1. That's the first link in the description. Use the promo code Helena and you'll get 2 weeks trial for $1. And I think it's less than $20 a month if you decide you want to stay in after that. So generous.
And by the way, those in the group get to ask me personalized questions in our Facebook group. And it's secret. Nobody gets to know you're in the group. So if you ask questions, it's private.
Amazing. By the way, Teddy says, you look great. Jessica said, you're amazing. I know Jonathon loves compliments, right? So you guys are so sweet. We love you so much. Thank you for staying all the way till the end. I hope you join Jonathon's group. Use promo code Helena. Also, if you're interested in getting a personal private one-on-one coach and you think Jonathon might be a good fit, the link to sign up for a discovery call with him is also in the description. So I'm trying to do a million things at once right now.
You're amazing, Helena. I got to tell you, I just adore you. You are one of the most amazing women on the planet. You're a great interviewer. I love that we're friends and whatnot. And we're here, you and I are both here to spread love around the world. And I'm just grateful we could do it together.
Oh my gosh, this was so much fun. I would love to do this all the time. This was like the most fun I've had on a live stream in a while. I love your energy. I love your enthusiasm, and you're just so in your heart. And so I know everyone can see that. So thank you so much. I just keep reading all the comments popping up over there. Have a great rest of the week, everyone.
Can I give you a big, gigantic Jonathon Bear hug?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Love it. All right. All the links are in the description. Let us know what you think about this down below in the comment section if you're watching the replay. And we will do this again soon, hopefully, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'll see you in 3 weeks.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Everyone.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye.